First and foremost, I like to give all praises and highest honors to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rawachah, All right, Yahweh being the name of the Heavenly Father in Paleo Ancient Hebrew, and Yahushai being the name of the one you ignorantly call Jesus Christ in Paleo Ancient Hebrew. Double honors to the apostle elders of Great Millstone that rule well, and salutations to you few brothers that preach, teach, and prophesy this word in truth and sincerity. We put our lives on the line. These last days, you bring you this raw and this uncut truth. All right, so Brother Ariago here with another nifty lesson. Let's get into it. The economy is crumbling around us, and understand that, this was created to fall like this. It's all about easing in that digital currency, something that China just recently did. Okay, and America is right behind them. Trust and believe. The point is to get rid of paper money. And by doing so, they can establish a digital currency. That's what it's all about. Being able to control your every purchase, to know your every move, and to control your very life. Because even with, these RFID microchips, I was looking at, I forgot which Mission Impossible that was. I think it was the third one. And they rescued, Ethan Hawke is, it's a female from the other two that was part of the team. And when they rescued her, she had a chip inside of her, a RFID microchip. And I guess whoever kidnapped her, they basically hit the switch on it and killed her. And they fried her brain. Her eyes went two different ways. You know what I'm saying? It was crazy. But nonetheless, they have the ability to do that. They have a kill switch in it. They'll say that's a way for them to administer, these different medicines and what have you. You know what I'm saying? These jabs and stuff. But all in all, it's all about control. This economy is getting worse and worse, and these jobs. Look, man, forget about it. What I want to show you is the state of this job market. When I saw this, shout out to Epic Economist. When I seen this, I was intrigued to do a lesson on it because I just thought it was a joke in general because I help certain individuals get jobs, especially people who, older people that aren't savvy to using technology, computers, whatnot. And I just see all these jobs out there. And trust me, I know that it's hard to, like, even with a great resume, which I made as well for them, they can get good jobs. But for a while, it's just applying to so many different places. And, it's like, shit, yeah, that's eventually one is going to bite. But then when you get there, oftentimes it's not a good fit for individuals because they're forced into doing or settling for a field or type of manual work that might more oftentimes not be suited for them. A lot of people go in and out of that position or certain places, because of multiple reasons. Recently, a friend of mine, because they weren't paying him the wages that he was promised. So he left and he came through a temp agency. Supposed to be making $24. I think it was 22 or 24. But they was only paying him, they was nickel and diming him on his checks when his check came. Or a place called Aerotech. Or Aerotech was the place that put them on and got them the job through a temp agency. But LG Energy, they would, here in Michigan, they was nickel and diming him, piecing him up on his check, not paying him the right wages, and then he got to, basically jump through all these hoops to start trying to get a difference made. And they did it to a couple times with a couple checks, and he just got there. He like, shit, I have to let that shit go. And you got to commute like 45 minutes. Like, yo, this shit is just getting nuts, man. So fair use, fair use. All right. Once again, shout out to Epic Economist. Yo, this piece of info right here hit heavy. Check this out.
Let me tell you about the job market, because this is where the official numbers become a complete joke. They claim there are millions of available positions, and on paper that might be accurate. But here's the dirty secret. A massive chunk of those job listings are completely bogus. Employers post positions they never ever intend to fill just to create the illusion of growth. Sometimes they're fishing for resumes to keep on file. Sometimes it's just legal theater. Yeah, they already know who they're promoting internally, but they have to post the job publicly anyway. I know people who've applied to hundreds of jobs and gotten maybe 2 or 3 actual interviews. And even when they do get interviews, companies ghost them. They'll go through 3 rounds of interviews and then just never hear back. And if you do manage to find a job, good luck getting paid enough to actually live on. The median wage for new hires has barely budged in the last few years, while the cost of everything has exploded. Now here's something that should really worry everyone. We've seen this pattern before. Back in the 1970s, we had a period of high inflation, followed by a brief cool down, and then an even worse second wave of inflation. The second wave was actually more destructive than the first one, and it took a severe recession and massive unemployment to finally break it.
Right. And now you're hitting that large unemployment wave, right? Shit is getting bumpy, man. Like now, everybody is still in that twilight of being complacent and feeling the strain of a lot of the things that are happening overseas, even here. Okay, it's preparing for a major change. Everybody is. It's not just America. It's part of that global great reset that the elites have in store. And one of the things that they look or intend to reset, is the currency, the way the world deals with currency. That's why that's so hard on Iran, because Iran isn't part of the central bank. It doesn't have the banker's hand all within that country. That's beyond their reach. And that's one of the untapped places that are trying to keep that influence out of there. And that serve an actual strategic military threat against, Israel being right there. Iran is one of the few nations in that area that can keep them in check. But they don't have any nuclear capabilities. But nonetheless, with their missile strikes and what have you, yes, that they have a strong military, especially in that area. But nonetheless, the point I wanted to make was what he said concerning those jobs and the job listings. He said, legal theater, fishing for resumes.
Never ever intend to fill just to create the illusion of growth. Sometimes are completely bogus. Employers post positions they never ever intend to fill just to create the illusion of growth.
Employers, they never intend to fill and create the illusion of growth. That's all. Look, You talking about making America great again? A lot of those people stop wearing those MAGA hats because a lot of those Trumpers are starting to see the lunacy of the system that's being set up around them. But it's already activated. There's nothing you can do. All right. It's an illusion. Making America great again, outside of the fact that it was at its greatest peak during slavery. And what do they want to do? They want to make everybody a slave, a digital slave, by putting that RFID microchip in your hand or that Neuralink chip, whatever they may call it soon, in your head. You understand? Either or both, however it may go. But you get any one of those placed within your body, especially just to be able to say you can't buy or sell without it. Okay? You won't be able to get a job unless you have it. This economy is going down the drain very, very fast. Okay, so continuing on with this whole crazy economic issue taking place with these jobs, it just goes to show you, people try to live the straight and narrow when they look at these news reports on CBS and where the job market is, and it's all these jobs out here, but you see it's just a joke, man. All right. These liberals, these individuals in high places, they keep you busy with these bread and circuses, just like they did in Rome. Keep you entertained, while they make preparations to change this whole system from right underneath you, like China just did. And I'm going to get to that video in a second because that was heavy as hell too, but it's exactly what's coming to America. Ecclesiasticus 7:12. For wisdom is a defense and money is a defense. Right? Because, you can use money. Hey, wisdom is a defense because you know what to do, what not to do, where to go, what not to go, things like that, And money is a defense because, with wealth, you can help. You can choose to live in a better neighborhood or, what I'm saying, you can have security or however you would choose to use that. You get a gun, bulletproof vest, whatever, So for wisdom is a defense and money is a defense. But the excellency of knowledge is that wisdom giveth life to them that have it. All right. And that's why it's better to have wisdom, because with all the money in the world, you can still be blind to what's happening around you and still fall prey to it when, everything falls into place. Because to keep this money going, when they change this money system and make it digital, you are going to have to give up your physical wealth and turn it into digital wealth if you want to continue to live, comfortably or well off. Ecclesiasticus 7:13. Consider the work of the Most High, for who can make that straight which he hath made crooked? He made this system to be crooked, period. All right. So there's no straightening this out. Bernie Sanders can't come in and straighten things out. Oh, Kamala would have. Shut your ass up. She would have got this bitch toe up faster than it is now. It says, in the day of prosperity, be joyful. But in the day of adversity, consider. The Most High also has set the one over against the other, to the end that man should find nothing after him, good against evil, rich against the poor. When 1% of the population is rich, and they're basically doing away with the middle class, all of that is a wrap, dog. Reality, as you know, is being altered right before your eyes, but it's not going to slowly and gradually go back to the way it was, right? All right, so check this out. This is what took place as of this month in China. Okay, and this is just basically drawn out the same way that it's going to take place in America. You know, they got rid of the paper currency and it's spread to all major cities in China right now. Okay, and they're switching to the digital yuan. Check this out.
And now, overnight, the government tells them cash is worthless. On
Fair use. Fair use.
one street corner, an old man says bitterly, "I've used cash all my life. Today it is worthless, like I don't exist anymore." His words echo a growing sense of betrayal. Meanwhile, traders and small businesses scramble. A fruit vendor complains, "Customers bring cash, but I can't take it. Inspectors are watching. If I disobey, I pay a fine larger than my profits." Taxi drivers face the same dilemma. A customer waives bills. The driver hesitates, torn between earning fare and risking punishment. More than once, angry disputes break out on the roadside, with passengers accusing drivers of greed and drivers cursing the system that forces their hands. And the bans are not staying local. Reports confirm that in Chengdu, paper notes are being quietly refused in transport hubs. In Wuhan, convenience stores now warn, "Cash not accepted." Even in smaller towns, word spreads that inspectors are making unannounced checks, pushing traders to switch fully to digital yuan. What was once thought impossible, a China without cash, is suddenly happening in front of everyone's eyes. The tension builds because the promise was always the opposite. Officials once reassured citizens the digital yuan will not replace paper. But on the ground, the reality is clear. The transition has begun, and it is ruthless. What was an experiment in Xi'an is now a spreading directive, creeping into new cities each day. And for the people, it feels less like progress and more like being cornered. What began as a Xi'an problem is now moving city by city, district by district, and with the bans came something the government didn't expect: backlash on the ground. Backlash on the ground. By the second day, the tension in Xi'an erupts into the streets. Taxi drivers, students, and the elderly are the first to protest.
Yeah, buddy, it's going down. And that will come here. Because a lot of people are accustomed to using their cards, but not being able to withdraw money, not being able to make cash withdrawals or deposits overnight, they did this. Why do you think that's not going to happen here? They did the same thing. Trump said his last term that he would never allow digital currency to come in. You know, he would not go into the, basically to be ran by digital currency. Here it is, his second term, and they passed the Genius Act, and he's already saying that everything will become digital. You know, that's why you cannot trust what these liberals, these politicians are telling you. All right, check this out. Once again, China in the spotlight. Check it out.
China just pulled $1 trillion out of America. This isn't business, it's financial warfare. For years, Chinese money flowed into America, from Wall Street to Hollywood, worth over $1 trillion. But now, Beijing just shut the pipeline off completely. No warning, no negotiations. Why? Because this isn't emotional, it's strategic. On March 17, 2025, China officially froze all new investments into U.S. companies. Overnight, billions vanished, projects collapsed, and mid-tier American firms were forced to borrow at crushing rates. Some are paying over 11% interest just to stay alive. This isn't just about Wall Street. It means layoffs, higher prices, and shrinking 401ks for everyday Americans. At the same time, China is redirecting its money into Europe, Asia, and even Saudi Arabia, building an entirely new financial ecosystem that cuts the dollar out. What looks like a freeze may actually be phase one of a financial siege. Do you think China's move is smart strategy or the first shot in a financial war? Comment below.
And that's all it is a financial war. Just the same way they have a Cold War, this is a financial war between
China just pulled $1 trillion
between China and the U.S. And because of those sanctions that were placed on China, China was like, shit, it was crashing their system, their economy. I watch it every day. from ground zero videos of what's going on over there since the tariffs were placed on them. And shit, it was crashing that system. They had to do it. So they switched to the digital yuan. How is that affecting us? Let's see. All right. And so this is also a direct result of what China did, because we are a consumer-based country. And when the country that is making all of our goods, we sanctioning them, but the sanctions end up hurting us in the long run. And if different, because we as the American people have to pay the difference. So the amount of goods that they send over here is being taxed and increased, and they had to pay more money than we had to pay more money. And in return, a lot of these retail stores and places that, thrive on, taking these things from, like, receiving these things from China and turn around and selling it to the public in many different ways. This is affecting the job market even further. So this is all basically like a Pulp Fiction thing where it just, I took you from the head all the way to the tail to the middle. Like, this is the direct result, the problem, the reaction, and the solution, right? Which ultimately they'll be saying it's a digital currency. But check out what she says right here.
I wish I could make this up. So your leader signed an executive order, is Executive Order 14026, rescinding the
Fair use.
federal minimum wage. So if you have a federal contract of $17.75 minimum hour, took it back down to $13.30 per hour. I'm gonna say it again. They took it from $17.75 an hour to $13.30 per hour. That is not a livable wage. And it's a shame. It's a shame. If y'all don't begin to realize this is about people with money wanting to hold on to their money, I don't know what to tell you. Who can live off of $13.30 in this economy? Y'all need to start paying attention. What this administration is doing, and it's a possibility that TikTok may suppress this. Not that I'm somebody big, but Executive Order 14026. Executive Order 14026. Taking the minimum wage, we're going backwards. Everything they're doing is taking us backwards. Not forward. Taking us back. All right.
Yep. So that minimum wage, I mean, damn, $17 ain't even enough in most places, if not all. Now they knocking it back down to 13. Hey man, shit is getting real. It's been real, but it's really getting real. All right, this is Micah 6:9. It says, Yahweh's voice crieth unto the city, and a man of wisdom shall see thy name. Hear ye the rod, and who hath appointed it? The rod is set aside for correction from the Most High. Are there yet the treasures of wickedness in the house of the wicked? And America is that house of the wicked. And the scant measure that is abominable. All right, let's look at that word scant real quick. Because this money or dollar is supposed to be a unit of measurement. A troy ounce of silver is what it's supposed to be, each dollar, right? Now it says a scant measure, right? Let's see what it says.
Strong's H 7332. Razon.
Leanness, scantness, wasting. All right, scantness of measure. And once again, a dollar is supposed to be a unit measurement of silver. It's like an English pound. All right, they they altered it. It's all fucked up now. You know. So are there yet the treasures of wickedness in the house of the wicked, and scam measure that is abominable? It's not like they don't have enough money to do all the things that need to be done and then some in this country for everybody to be able to live comfortably and well. It's not about that. All the money goes to the elites and they keep 99% beneath them. That's just the way the Rothschilds and the rest of these elite families will rather have it, because then when somebody's in poverty, you constantly in control. And there's no middle class because in the end, it's basically only slavery. Pretty soon, it'll be working just to keep a roof over your head and food in your stomach instead of having any daily wages. It'll just be permissions. Let this devil have it. Says, shall I count them pure with the wicked balances and with a bag of deceitful weights? Because they used to weigh the silver and the gold on the scales, right? And that's how you would determine, how much something was. How much silver you want for this? Give me 5 ounces of silver. You know what I'm saying? And then they would weigh it. Well, you can't legitimately weigh this dollar because it's dying every day. And it's a fiat currency. It's used as legal tender, but it has these notes hold no value. How much more so digital currency that's just created out of thin air, right? They false balances, all right? That's why I said the scant measure. It says, for the rich men thereof are full of violence, and the inhabitants thereof have spoken lies, and their tongue is deceitful in their mouth. Therefore also will I make thee sick and smite thee, and making thee desolate because of thy sins. And these elites, straight up, they are violent. They're the ones that control wars. All of these wars we have, especially the world wars and Vietnam, all these are banker wars, okay? And all of them serve a purpose and ultimately put more money in the pockets of the elites, man. At the end of it all. It says, thou shalt eat but not be satisfied, and thy casting down shall be in the midst of thee. And thou shalt take hold, and thou shalt not deliver. And that which thou deliverest will I give up to the sword. So it's going to be a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation in a minute in America, because if you don't get that digital currency, or if you try to refuse it, it's not going to be easy, if at all. You'll be punished for not having these things, man. All right. It says, thou shalt sow, but thou shalt not reap. You're going to work. You're going to work in your ass off, right? You still reaping nothing. You don't even break even. It says, thou shalt tread the olives, but thou shalt not anoint thee with oil and sweet wine, but shalt not drink wine. For the statutes of Omri are kept. I mean, when it comes down to it, when you stop and you look at the way this system is functioning, for everybody to really think that America was going to be great again, in the end, they look to make the elites look to make you all digital slaves, regardless of your skin color. Regardless of your skin color. But at the end, Esau's going to get more perks still than Jake. It's the last scripture, Haggai 1:6. Ye have sown much and bring in little. Ye eat, but ye have not enough. Ye drink, but ye are not filled with the drink. Ye clothe you, but there is none warm. And he that earneth wages to put into a bag with holes. That's the reality right now. You making all this money, you doing all of this, working overtime, and you still don't even break even. Still can barely support your family. This is the reality of what's happening, man. This is the reality of what's going on. And it's only going to get worse until they implement that RFID microchip, make it mandatory digital currency, and then you really ain't gonna be able to get a job. Shit, you thought it was bad now, but that was the main take on it. This job market, them saying all of these jobs are out here, it's all bullshit. And it's all a game. And we further expose it, as you see, why your rent, your food, all of these common everyday expenses are increasing. It all makes sense as this place spirals the drain. So with that, I pray you will edify. Do your research, keep your head on the swivel. Until the next time, I bid you shalom.